Hey, Jason Fladlien here, and let's say I lost all the money that I possibly had to my name, and I had to make $50,000 in the next 30 days because that's what I needed to pay all of my overhead, my expenses, what have you. I don't know why it's 30 days. I don't know why it's $50,000. I'm just making this up just so it's interesting. So if you had to make $50,000 in the next 30 days, what would you do? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what I do, and then I'm going to show you how maybe you can model it. Maybe not, and where the real value is on the kind of skills that you should cultivate in business. So here's me. Oh my God, all of a sudden, all of my money magically disappeared. I got 30 days. I need to bring in $50,000 to pay all the bills. What am I going to do? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stack the deck in my favor. So what am I inherently already good at that has immediate leverageable value that I can apply as quickly as possible? And so some of the truths of business, whether you like them or not, is that it's way easier to make money selling high-ticket products as opposed to low-ticket products. It's just the way that it is. And so I'd have to put myself in a position where I would sell high-end types of products with high margin. It's just the math. You got to do it that way. I'm also really good at sales. And the power of sales is it gets as close to the money exchanging hands as possible. So the closer you are to money exchanging hands, the more of it can go into your hands. There's a reason why people that sell real estate make a lot of money, because at the end of the day, it's a huge transaction, high ticket. And if you're at that last junction in the process where the money gets exchanged, there's a lot of money to be made there. This is why financial people make a lot of money. They get in the middle of a lot of money moving and going, and then they figure out ways to grab some of it. And so for me, selling is as close to the direct transaction with the customer as humanly possible. It's far closer than marketing. Marketing is impersonal. Selling is personal. And I can sell high-ticket products. So I would immediately look for an existing high-ticket product that would pay me a commission if I could sell it. So I would try to find a company who had a high-quality product, because I can't sell a low-quality product. Ethics aside, obviously the ethics are important, but I can't get excited about a mediocre product. And if I'm not excited about selling it, it's going to be harder to get you excited to buy it. So I'd have to find a product I could fall in love with. The good news is there's millions of products out there that are amazing that have really mediocre marketing behind them. So it would not be as hard as you would think. It would be relatively easy to find a world-class product with marketing and sales. So there's a value add to be given there to the business. There's a value add to be given to the customer who might not otherwise find this product. So I need a high-ticket product with a good commission to me every time I sell it. And I need a company with a steady stream of leads, where the leads aren't being as properly utilized as possible. Now, this is going to sound preposterous to you if you've never experienced it firsthand, but I've worked with a lot of customers and clients over the years who have sales rooms, who have people that are selling on the phone predominantly. This is how it's done these days, where they're either cold calling or they're taking inbound leads. So an advertising gets a lead, and then a salesperson follows up with them. There are very few sales organizations where 100% of the leads get utilized, or even 90% of the leads. So the business owner, they often come to me and they get very frustrated and say, Jason, I'm paying for leads and nobody's calling them. Or they're calling them 7 days later or 5 days later. The ultimate position is to call a lead within 5 minutes of generating it, that immediacy. So I'd want to put myself in a position where there are a lot of leads coming in and they're not being properly utilized. And if you say, well, Jason, how long is this going to take you? I'm going to figure it out probably within 24 to 48 hours. I might not sleep more than 4 or 5 hours each night and then spend the other 18 to 20 hours or whatever looking for these opportunities, but I bet I could find one in a day or two. And so when you find one, then what's the game? Then the game is, how many calls do I need to make at what close rate to earn this amount of money? See, fuzzy targets don't get hit. So you got to have this very concrete, very specific outlook on the process. Now, that's not a long-term play. But if you need 50K in 30 days, you got to make it so it's so finite, so clear, so direct, so specific that you can boil it down to ones and zeros. And so let's say I could make sales calls for a dozen hours a day, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I couldn't do that for the long term, but for the short term, I could put in 72 hours a week. I would try to do it being nothing but on the phone the whole time. So, not setting up the appointments, not following up, not making emails, like selling as much of those 72 hours per week as I possibly could. So let's look at the math. Let's say I was selling a $10,000 product. And let's say I got paid a 15% commission on that. That's a $1,500 every time I make a sale that I would earn in terms of revenue. Another way to look at that is if I'm trying to get to $50,000 a month, that's 34 sales I have to make in a month. So if I have a full 30 days to do that, how many do I have to sell? I got to sell 3 packages every 2 days. That's it. Pretty much, right? Now, if I took 2 days to get into the business and another day to learn the product, I got 28 days to make 34 sales. That's still not that many. And so maybe I wouldn't need a dozen hours a day for 6 days a week in order to do that. Maybe I would need less, but maybe I would need more. And I'd have to decide, do I either do that or do I find other opportunity to add to that? Can I sell a second product to this person? Can I create a new package at a higher ticket? But I'm betting that with enough desire and enough motivation and a minimum amount of skill, most of you could sell 34 packages in a month. I know you could. The biggest limitation, though, is what? It's many of you've never paid $10,000 for something, so it's hard for you to sell something for $10,000. And I get it. It's just, you got to understand the world's a big place out there. There are like, I don't know how many, but you should Google this and look this up. How many households in the United States are worth $1 million? It's way more than you think. And how many people make over $200,000 a year? It's way more than you think. And that's just in the United States alone. And so, yes, there's a lot of people that are middle class, and there's a lot of people that are poor, or I like to look at it as future potentially rich, because I've been poor before I've been rich. Most people have. And so, even though to you $100,000 is a lot, maybe, to somebody else $100,000 is nothing. And that's purely looking at it from an economic point of view. On the other hand, there are many things that people, if it's the right fit for them, even if they only make $60,000 or $70,000 a year, they would still pay $10,000 for it and be happy. You wouldn't be doing them a disservice. In fact, you'd be doing them a disservice in some of these instances by not offering it to them, if it's that good for them. And so psychologically, the limitation is most people is the 10,000. The other limitation is you got to learn the sales skills. And this is why I'm very adamant that anybody that I meet, I urge them to learn how to sell before they do anything, because it's a skill that can be useful in and of itself in every scenario you find yourself in the food chain. So CEO to CEO, working with $1 billion plus companies that I have, selling to them is just as important one-to-one in the boardroom as it is in the living room selling a vacuum to mom and pop, right? A lot of the same skill sets apply. The degree and the application, yeah, they're different slightly, but not as much as you would think. But then guess what? Sales is the root of marketing. So when I look at marketing, I look at it as a way to deploy sales in a one-to-many scenario as opposed to a one-to-one scenario. So it's slightly different, but the kernel of sales, the root of that is still there. It's still important with the marketing of any product, of any service to any market. Every market is made up of individuals. It's just a more efficient way to sell. And there's additional skill sets you have to build on top of selling in order to make that work. But most organizations, they lack good sales. And so there's a massive opportunity. And selling is something that once you learn the mechanics are pretty easy. It's 20% mechanics, it's 80% psychology. What I mean is personal psychology, the fear of rejection, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of selling the wrong customer, that sort of stuff. You work that out, man. You could use basic technique and you're gonna make above basic type of money. But here's the thing, after I'm done with 1 month and I've solved my $50,000 problem, it's not enough. And why isn't it enough? And here's why, because I'm only helping 34 souls. So if I'm selling 34 packages at $1,500 to me a pop, it's not the impact that I want. It's a good starting place. And hopefully you can vibe on some of that as well. So let's help some people first and then trade up. Help one person, then help 2 people, then help 4, then help 10, then help 100, then help 1,000. But there you go. If the back was against the wall, I'd go selling. I'd go cold calling if I had to. And I've broken down the plan for you. Now that you got this, Is it time to step your sales game up? If so, make a commitment with me. I'll see you in the next video.